order to avoid having a worldwide collapse of civilization, and of course in order to mitigate global warming, we need to switch from an oil-based economy to alternative energies. However, from what I know, or what most people know, or what we've been told, there doesn't seem to be very much development there. There's not enough potential power that we can get from these alternative sources.
Yes, that is true, because, and there's a good reason for it, because there's no money for it. Why there's no money for it is that government, and I'm talking about the US government, is subsidizing the oil industry big time. I mean, subsidizing those huge behemoths when green energy doesn't get you know, more than a few $1 million, whereas the oil industry gets billions of dollars from the government. So, I mean, you know, it is not a level playing field. And secondly, not just the government, but the oil industry itself is extremely powerful, and you know, all the money are in there, all the investment capital are in there. I mean, I'm sure there were multiple times more money, investment dollars going into the oil companies than into the green technology companies. I mean, it's just like peanuts for the green technology. So if there is no money, there is no development. And if there is no development, then it's sort of gets played into your question that, you know what, there was no development. So how do we do it? It's like a catch-22. You don't develop it, but then you say that you know, there was no development. So, you know, but most catch-22s should have some kind of an out, and the out here is, of course, the general public sees the great danger in continuing to develop the fossil fuels. Then they will begin to change, hopefully fast enough. Starting from the investors, you know, we've got a friend, Frank Arnold, who has a company called Green Investors, or at least he used to, and I think he's doing well in that business. You know, so, you know, if that happens, and if Frank could make a living out of that, then I can see why other brokers cannot make a living out of that. And if enough people invest in the green technologies, then the green technologies will be worth lots and lots more, and it will take off, and it will hopefully eventually eclipse the oil industries. And but right now, indeed, there's not enough. There is, you know, there are windmills and there are solar panels, but they are kind of almost on a. Well, there are some fairly massive projects, mind you, but they are local. They certainly are not anywhere even 1% developed than the potential. So, you know, we have to set our priorities, and we have to put the oil companies in their places. Otherwise, they will really smother the world. Is basically what it's going to be.
So, could alternative technology meet all of our needs?
Well, currently certainly not, because I mean, you know, we need a huge amount, and that's why I say that if we want to have a future, we must develop the alternative technologies almost and very, very fast up to the production volume of the oil industry, and be able to provide a comparable level of energies to be able to take over from the fossil fuels. And right now we can't, so that's why we keep on burning fossil fuel. But then we keep on burning fossil fuel because the priority is not set right. So the priority I'm talking about government, people, as well as, of course, the corporations. So, you know, so major changes have to be made in the mindsets of the government, of the people, and of the corporations. And in a democratic country, we will have to change public opinion. And to change public opinion requires an educational outreach, requires media outreach, and that's what this tour is about. And this tour is also about forming a coalition against the fossil fuel industry, particularly against the Alberta tar sands. And this needs to be done, because unless there is a movement against it, it will keep on growing. It is huge, and it feeds upon itself, and it feeds upon the earth. And basically, it is suicidal. Even the corporation, even the industry, because it will. It is producing so fast that it cannot sustain itself, and when they have very quickly exhausted all the oil, that industry will die as well. But in the meantime, as in all industries, they will first and foremost fight for its own not only survivability, but also in its own prosperity. And this is we're at the stage where the oil industry is doing that, and the alternative energy industries just does not have a big enough presence, and therefore a big enough voice to be able to speak for itself and change society, so that once again puts the ball back into the activist court, which is ours.
But what I was asking originally, that's all very good information. What I was asking originally is, if alternative energy sources are developed, will they meet our needs?
Well, if they are developed up to potential, far more than what we need. Solar, we've got enough solar potential to feed the world several times over. We have enough wind potential to feed the world several times over, all by themselves, without even sort of cooperating. Of course, cooperating is better, because different areas have greater solar potential, different areas have greater wind potential. But talking about just solar potential, all the desert areas are have a huge capability, which is not developed. I mean, all the deserts are just sitting there heating up, heating up the atmosphere with its own absorbed heat. And if it is said that if the country of, say, Algeria has developed its solar potential, it would be able to supply the entire Europe with its energy needs. Also, it is said that Alberta, which is a northern place, still has enough solar potential to be able to not only replace the tar sands and what tar sands promises to do, but exceed it. If we develop just Alberta's solar potential, we can feed the entire continent with electricity, clean electricity. But of course, we're not doing that, because the oil company stands for oil. And if we go for solar, that means that we're starving the oil industry. So the oil industry is extremely powerful, extremely rich, and it can buy people to speak for them. It can buy lobbyists to lobby for them. They can buy even politicians directly. So this is the situation that we have today, is that the political forces, the corporations, the economic theories are all in favor of continuing to develop the fossil fuels and the biofuels with almost no regard for the environment, such as the Amazon, which are being plowed down for more so-called undeveloped virgin territory, for huge soy farms. And the soy, of course, is to serve as feed for Brazilian cattle, and also to be made into ethanol. And both the beef from Brazil and the ethanol will feed North American demands. The beef for, of course, the meat guzzling general public, and the ethanol to feed SUVs and muscle cars. So